Hey, we just watched season 2, episode 1 of Gilmore Girls. Hi, I'm Hemda.
I'm Carrie.
And we're Gilmore Friends.
We are Gilmore Friends season 2. We made it.
Regular energy.
This regular energy. Sorry.
So I have the name of the episode. It is Sadie.
Sadie, married lady. I called this episode The Morning After.
Oh, that's good. I called it Phi Beta Bimbo.
Oh.
I like yours better.
I like Sadie. How do you spell Sadie in the Sadie?
Yes.
Nice.
And it's the show title is Sadie ...
Okay.
No, I don't love it.
Did you know that reference? Sadie, married lady? No. Neither did I. Okay. Maybe if we knew that reference, it would be hilarious.
I don't think so. Sorry.
Yeah, me neither.
Sorry. I think everyone is very, very funny in this show. I think they have a great sense of humor. The titles, I haven't had one. No, I had one. The Breakup Part 2 was my favorite title. But the titles are not my favorite in this thing.
But I will say Sadie is not a spoiler. I would have had no idea what that meant.
Only because you don't know the reference.
Right. If I had known the reference, total spoiler.
Sadie, married lady, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara Streisand, shout out to you. Okay, shall we get into it?
We shall.
Okay, quickly before we do, I just want to say that on YouTube, Becca wrote, okay, saw Carrie's Gilmore Friends mug and love it. Immediately went to your site and bought one. Awesome price. It's so pretty. Can't wait to show it off. I don't know how to share how much that makes my heart sing because, and especially when you say awesome price, because we try to price it as little as possible because we really just want Gilmore Friends. Or is it just me?
No, I want these in everyone's hand. I want everyone to listen to us and drink out of this mug at the same time.
Yeah. So Gilmore Friends, gilmorefriends.com. And just thank you, Becca. And thank you to anyone who got some Gilmore Friends paraphernalia to say, hey, I'm a Gilmore friend out to the world.
That's right.
It's working. Right. I have Gilmore Friends. Okay.
And I'm no totally one has to know what's in this mug.
Oh.
Could be wine, could be vodka, could be seltzer, could be nothing. I could just be
you could be like on a TV show.
I could just be like in an improv group, like gulp, and like there's nothing in the mug.
You look so natural.
Yeah, but now we have a branded mug.
Yeah. So thanks, Becca, and all our Gilmore Friends. I want to say that we just watched season 2, episode 1, like I said, and when we were done. And we usually exhale really big when we're done.
We had a simultaneously at the end of this episode.
And I kind of want to know why you did. Maybe like, I don't even know why I did. I think I always do. Maybe I'm holding my breath watching you. Maybe like this particular episode is pretty emotional for me, but I feel like I say that all the time. But you then said, poor Lane. And then you paused. And I was like, yeah, poor Lane. You know, she had that big suitcase. Her parents are shipping her off. Poor Lane got the weakest B plot I've ever seen. I did not expect that.
A really weak B plot. I'm sorry.
It was weird every time they cut.
It had nothing to do with anything. It did not connect. Usually you weave a line between A and B plot, or you give equal time or not equal, but you know, but the weak B plot in this episode is my critique.
Yeah.
I
love that oh God, love it. Okay. So when we last left season 1, of course, Lorelai just got to propose to with 1,000 yellow daisies, right? Now, of course, we established there wasn't 1,000 yellow daisies. We'll get to it. But now the whole town we open it and, you know, like the whole town is full of yellow daisies. So you figured out this is the next day. And they also reference it's the next day.
It does look very pretty. It was 10,000 yellow?
1,000.
1,000.
Yes.
But then we figured out that in that room had to be more than 1,000, just based on the volume.
It looked like that to me.
The insanity. So 1,000 daisies, I don't think would fill the town either. But it does look very pretty. It looks cute. I like that there's people wearing them and like there's, in somebody's pocket. It's very sweet. But I predicted at the end of last episode, at the end of the season, that we would jump cut to months later.
Yes.
Because it was the last day of school, right?
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. They were like, see you next year.
See you next year. It was the last day of school. So I was like, oh, I bet we're going to skip the summer and go right into the autumn. But we didn't do that. We just went right into the next day, which I like. I like when shows do that because then they don't have to be like, oh, remember July when that whale came to town and we all ate whale meat for a month? Like something happens during the summer that they only talk about. So I'm glad they didn't do that.
So everyone else had to wait, a whole seasons in between them out. And we came in the next week. So, and Lorelai hasn't made up her mind. I think that's really interesting.
So that was confusing to me that because the episode starts off with them talking about wedding plans. And Rory is like, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Or, I think bridesmaids should pick their own colors or their own dresses. So I had thought that meant, obviously, Lorelai said yes.
Except Lorelai kept responding in the negative. She said, I haven't made up my mind about the yes and no part. She also said, I'll take any other subject for $200, Alex.
Right.
Then she also said, remember in All in the Family, how he pretended to tie a noose around his head? That's how she felt about Rory talking about her wedding.
Right.
So she didn't.
And I didn't know if that was regular wedding jitters or that she knows it's a bad idea to marry Max. But
yeah, it's such a big deal, especially when you have a kid. And can we just say, timeline wise, she only knows this guy at most. How long is 2 semesters of school, right? Rory came in mid-semester or like maybe a couple weeks in. So at most you have 2 semesters of school. So that's September to, let's call it, June. So 9 months. You know him 9 months?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could just say yes to someone. I get that some people, when you know, and I totally get that. 9 months, you can get to know someone, but I don't know. You haven't mixed yet. You haven't, so, but Rory seems excited.
Rory's delighted. She's very excited. I wasn't sure that Rory liked Max that much, to be honest, but I think the idea of Lorelai getting married is fun. So she's like responding to the fun part of it.
I also didn't expect such delight. This is a dude coming to live with you.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would feel about that, especially since he's my teacher.
But we established that we don't know where they're moving. We don't know where they're living.
Yeah, that would more be my question as the kid.
Right.
Right?
I'd be like, are we moving? What about Lane? I don't want to live in Hartford.
And speaking of Lane, we watch her and Mrs. Kim. She's actually saying to her mom, just give me a hint. Tell me. Her mom, oh my God, Mrs. Kim is so hardcore. She says children will know what their parents think they can handle.
Whoa.
Oh. And Rory was like, did she find your CD burner?
Yes. Did she find your CD burner? I was like, oh no. And then we find that this is where Lane tells Rory that she's being sent to Korea without a return date.
That would scare me.
That would scare me.
That would scare me. And her mom being so happy, she's humming and I don't know. And Rory was being a kind friend. She said maybe it's a deal with the airline, which I thought also, because they're probably frugal, they're paying attention. Maybe they haven't worked out stuff with your cousin. Maybe there's a weather consideration, holiday you didn't know about.
Right.
That's fair. It's all fair. But then you hear Mrs. Kim. She's going, Lane, come here, please.
Yes.
And I was creeped out.
You got creeped out. And I was like, I don't know why you wouldn't tell the kid. I don't know. Just be like, it'll depend on this or that. Or like, I don't know. Why wouldn't you tell the kid, no, you're not going there forever. You will be coming to school. We just didn't get it. You know, like, I don't know why you wouldn't tell the kid.
As a kid of an immigrant, I can tell you a lot of things were none of my business, including my own life.
It's infuriating to me.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
This was not like...
I think that's not fair.
My parents would laugh at you for the "it's not fair" line.
It's not fair. It's my life. I mean, I do think it's funny when like a 10-year-old screams, "It's my life." You're like, well, not really yet, but like, okay, I get that you feel that way. But I also think like being honest with kids is like a nice thing to do.
When you're sending them to Korea?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so scary. It's not like she lived such a Korean life. Yeah, she did. But it's like, you know, a lot of people when they get mad at immigrants, they're like, go back to your country. I'm like, dude, I can't just go back to my country. That is not my country.
Yeah.
It is. I could know the language, and I do. I could know how the people operate. I could have a good foundation. But when I go there, I suddenly become a foreigner.
Yes.
Because it's this very weird...
They can tell. You don't look... Yeah, that's what my Chinese friend is like. I'm like, isn't it easier to go because you speak Chinese? And she's like, they can tell immediately that you are not Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, I speak Hebrew with no accent. But I speak Hebrew with an accent to them. I'll forget weird, stupid words because I am a foreigner. I haven't lived there since I was 4.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same. I can't have political conversation. I can't be as funny. I have to like sometimes use 3 words because I forget the one word that really would be more appropriate here. So yeah, that's not my country anymore.
Yeah.
This is my country. But I understand that here I'm a foreigner to a lot of people. There I'm a foreigner to a lot of people. And I think anyone who came from an immigrant background has a full understanding of what I just said.
Yes.
So you can't just ship me back to my country. I am so sorry. So
all right. Well, I guess we're stuck with you.
That's what I always wanted.
You always wanted to make us stuck with you.
That's right.
It's the American dream.
That's how I know love. Thank you. You are forced to love me.
That's right. That's what love is all about.
Yes, that's friendship. And then at the newspaper stand.
Oh my God.
Remember newspaper stands?
I do remember newspaper stands. I see them in airports every now and then. I think this was a hilarious number of wedding magazines.
I wrote that down too. I wrote the whole thing is brides magazine. Remember when it was porn? Do you remember that?
But it was porn like above eye level.
We could see it as kids.
I know.
It was hardcore porn on the cover and it was gobs of them.
Yes. But I remember that the porn sometimes was in a bag, like what amounted to like a Ziploc bag, and it was above. So theoretically, children could not reach it, I think was the idea. And at eye level was like Newsweek and like quote unquote regular magazines.
Do you remember like Bop magazine and things like that?
Oh yeah. Those were low.
Beat.
Teen Beat and Bop were low down, and like Teen Vogue. Remember 17 magazine?
Yeah.
Remember YM?
I didn't get that. I used to get Bop.
Oh, I got YM.
I'm remembering it wrong. Yeah. I remember reading about Alyssa Milano and how she decides to get dressed and what color to wear. And I was like, so certain that she wrote that.
Yeah. She might have.
What? No, she didn't.
Yeah. But anyway, this newsstand is suddenly has maybe 130 bridal magazines, separate publications, waiting to be picked up. It would be hilarious. So Lorelai happens by and she's like,
yeah, and of course, while she's reading that magazine, so Miss Patty comes around. So people know because she gave them all yellow daisies. So she had to be like, I might be engaged.
Right. So the news is not I'm engaged. The news is Max proposed.
Right.
Right. But she's spread these yellow flowers all around town.
Which I don't think I would do.
Luke hasn't seen any of them.
I noticed. So when you said that, I was like, right, of course. But Luke
he had to walk to work.
it seems like people are keeping it away from him, because if Miss Patty hasn't told him yet, and then when you walk into his diner and he lives at work.
We just...
So, yeah. Our producer
I just got reminded that he lives at work. It's true, right? He lives above.
Shout out to Xerxes. Okay, so but
no, I like it when he...
Oh, sorry. You want?
I want it to be a secret. Like, I'm sorry. We're getting this just in. He lives at work.
So, but if Miss Patty didn't tell him, and then when you said, "Hey, why doesn't he know?" I noticed there weren't any yellow daisies in the diner.
I know. I just think,
but then there were some a little bit on the table, and people are walking in with yellow daisy.
Yes, and there's giant plate glass windows. You could see out the windows. You could see yellow flowers out the window. Anyway, I thought it was very silly that we are to believe that Luke has no idea yet, when the town is so small that people knew that Rory had a breakup within 10 minutes.
That's true.
The town is small enough for that, but it's not small enough that Luke will find out why there's yellow flowers all over the town.
Agreed, yeah.
What would you have done with the yellow flowers in your hotel, in your inn?
I don't know, but if I didn't say yes yet, see, because I hate this proposal. I know a lot of people like it. I think it's beautiful. I think that if you were going to do 1,000 yellow daisy proposal thing for me, you better have some sort of plan to get rid of them too. I mean, that sounds exhausting to me, even though whenever I look at it, I'm like, what a great idea. How beautiful. And when guys are like coming into the thread of, hey, my girlfriend is a big Gilmore Girls fan. I want to include some kind of Gilmore thing in my proposal. Everyone says 1,000 yellow daisies. But who's getting 1,000 yellow daisies, and where are you putting it? And also, this is not 1,000 yellow daisies. It's a little easier to get rid of 1,000 yellow daisies. You just put them in your house and you let them die, right? I mean,
right. But then you have to get rid of 1,000 dead daisies.
Yeah, but that's not that bad when you think about, like, I just got proposed to. I sincerely don't know if I'm saying yes. Now I got to tell the whole town I was proposed to. Right. And I say no.
Right.
That's not what I want.
It's the publicness of it. It's like being proposed to in a stadium on the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
Like the pressure is on to say yes, because the entire stadium is looking at you. So you can't be like, will you marry me? Let me think about it for a second. Yeah. No, the stadium's staring at you. So like, you know, Max proposed to me and I'm putting flowers all around the town. Well, did you say yes? I don't know. It's like, now there's pressure.
Are you like, would you want to be proposed to in public?
No.
I wouldn't either. And now that I think about it,
not Jumbotron. It could be in a public setting, but not Jumbotron.
Right.
Right. Like I like could be like restaurant is, you know, but like not Jumbotron. Yeah, why? Did somebody ask you how to do it for me?
Oh, I wouldn't say if they did, but
they were like, I have this great idea, Jumbotron. And you were like, let me bring it up on the show and see if that's what she wants. And I'm telling you emphatically, no Jumbotron in my proposal.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think some people do like it, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But you better be sure. You better have talked about it.
Oh, yeah. You better know the answer. How were you proposed to the time that you were?
It was in public. It was in a park, and it was sand art by this artist that I really liked. Have you ever seen in New York? There's a guy who does big things with sand.
Yep. And in Washington Square Park.
Yes, I always thought it was beautiful, and I love that park. So he hired that person.
Oh, well, that's sweet.
It was really nice.
That is nice.
Really nice. And so it kind of it was an override of being in public because it was more personal. Now we ended up getting divorced, and but that's different. The proposal was great. The rest,
right. So. Well, that's the thing is, and I think the Max and Lorelai story will be that the proposal was great. The rest is what I think.
Yeah. And well, Miss Patty's like, let's do this. Let's tell Luke.
Yep. Yeah. So off to Luke's they go. And Luke doesn't.
I love this small town thing. I assume you hate it that everyone was following Miss Patty and following
that was ridiculous. That was so ridiculous.
It's for us.
I know. We're illustrating a point about the town. I get it. But it's still cute. It's still very stupid.
It's visual. And so, and Lorelai's like the only one, and I get that. You're supposed to be my friend. I don't want to think of you as like, this is going to be a bummer for you, but she's the only one who's like, what's the big deal? Even Rory actually says the words. What was it like? Everyone knows that Luke has a thing for you.
Right. Everyone knows that Luke has a thing for you, and that's why it's going to be weird to tell him. And I'm like, Rory just said it.
I know, right?
I'm like, okay, so somewhere like now they're speaking openly about it. Like,
I know. I guess because it's like, girl, hello. I mean, this is and let me tell you, Luke's response was my favorite thing ever. Him going, okay, where are you going to live? I'm like, thank you.
Yep. I wrote that. I wrote that Luke pokes holes in all of the plans by asking legitimate questions. He like Socratic methoded it. He was like, what about this? And what about this? And like, these are things that married people talk about. And then he went on like the coupon drawer and like, you know, these are things couples know about each other, and like basically saying to her, you don't know anything about him.
And that made so much sense to me. First of all, where are you going to live? Like, why is that such a crazy personal question? You don't even know if he wants kids.
Right.
How do you not? Do you know?
You don't know that if he's going to want you to quit your job.
I mean, that was a little weird, but sure. Are you taking his last name?
When my mom and dad got married, my dad said to my mom, you can still have friends once we're married.
Okay, I'm leaving right now.
And my mom was like, yeah, I can. And I was like, that wasn't a huge red flag to you? You know, like that's a huge red flag that he even thought to. And she was like, no, at the time, like, you know, I didn't think much of it. And I was like, that's just such a gross thing to say to your soon-to-be wife.
It is, and it should be a red flag, but so should a lot of other things that were just known as regular, and that he might have even sounded more open-minded.
Right. I'm like, oh, you're so forward-thinking. You'll let me have friends when we're married? Amazing.
Right. Yeah. But how come she didn't think of that? Would you ever marry someone not having asked the question, do you want to have kids? That's a big deal to people.
No, but I also think asking someone, do you want to have kids is like a very new thing. Oh. I think a generation ago, it was assumed you did.
Okay. How many kids? Can you ask that?
6.
Right? Like, what if somebody says 6?
Right. So if your boyfriend, like, it's assumed that everyone wants children, right? That's what we assume society-wise. Right. And you and I are dating, and I'm like, how many kids do you want? And you're like, 2. And I'm like, 3. And we're like, now we can fight about if it's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I actually don't want any children.
I don't either. And if I was dating someone and they wanted to have a child with me, we can't plan for a future. Right. I'm not going to do that. And that's a serious question. And if it's a difference of 2 or 3 kids, I think you can work that out. But if it's a difference of 1 and 5 kids,
2.5 kids,
2 kids and a dog,
2 kids and like a big dog. Yeah. But no, I tried and like dating, like I would be very upfront, you know, I'd be like, I don't want, and like the older I got, the easier it was to be like, look, it's past the time, you know, I'm going to have a messed up kid.
I think the older I got, people stopped asking me if I am going to have kids.
Oh yeah.
Well, it used to be, I don't know if you got this. This was very, something that I had to deal with all the time. I was pretty vocal about the fact that I didn't want kids. And a lot of people would say, first of all, oh, but you'd be such a great mom. I'm like, no, you just like me mommying you. But that's not what I want to do. And this wasn't necessarily my partner. It was like people, just friends or associates or whatever. And then the other thing would be, hey, you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I cannot have children thinking that I might regret it. That's crazy.
Yes. That is such a gamble with a new person's life to be like, mommy, why did you want me on the planet? And be like, I was afraid I would regret it if I didn't. Yeah. What an insane logic for like
And then to ease people's pains and also to like ease my own thought of that, because I had to think, what if I change my mind? You can't, at a certain point, you can't. I always thought, hey, I'm really genuinely okay with adopting. And I thought, I don't want to be pregnant. If I were to want to have kids, I think I would want to adopt. I want a child, not necessarily a biological connection to me. It's just always how I felt. I felt like children are children, and I'm not. And I understand that like people feel certain ways, and there's got to be something magical about it growing something. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, but I didn't connect to it.
Yeah, no, I was always told, because I've been pretty sure that I didn't want. I was always like open to the idea, but they were like, you know, once you hit 30, you're gonna wake up and scream for sperm to make a baby. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll wait for that day. And that day never came.
Right.
And then
I got that too. And you're so right, because
they were like, you're going to change your mind. You're going to change. Cause I'd be like, you know, I was like 27 and they're like, do you want kids? And I'd be like, nah, I don't really want kids. And they'd be like, you'll change your mind.
Great.
And I was like, okay, then I will deal with it then.
Yeah, but this isn't a belief system. This is just, I can't see myself feeling like I would want to have kids, but if I do, I'll feel it. Okay.
Yeah. And then, but more and more of my friends had kids, and I realized that I love hanging out with their kids and then handing them back.
Me too. And I didn't think that would happen to me. I thought that as soon as my brothers started having kids, and I'm so in love with their children. And I was like, wow, I'm in awe of them. And if you think about it, this is what my kids would look like. You know what I mean? This is a biological thing that I saw. And I was just like, that's wonderful for you. I'm going to go out now.
Right. I'm like, tell me again how you never sleep. Yeah. I think that was the part that always gets me. They're like, oh yeah, you don't sleep for like, you really don't sleep for like 6 months. And then you actually kind of really don't sleep for 18 years.
I was just going to say that a lot of parents' description of their kid is ba 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 da da da. Oh, but it's so worth it. And I'm like, you know what? The ba 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 part is the part that concerns me. I don't think so, but I'll babysit for you, and I'm right here, and I'm into it. You know, yeah. I'm way into it.
Oh yeah.
So it confuses me how I could be like that too. So I understand how people are like, you like kids so much. You're so good with them.
Right. And you're like, it's right. I've saved it up.
Right. You know, I'm not tired.
Right. Exactly. And like all of my maternal instinct, like is reserved for these like chunks for when I see your kid.
And then I go home to sleep, and you don't, you know,
or I stay up till 2 a.m. because I can.
Right.
Because there's nothing waiting on me. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So good on you, all parents. I'm here for the babysitting job.
So we get to grandma's house. To grandmother's house we go.
This is another woman in our lives, and we compared her to Mrs. Kim. Emily is super happy, and it's creeping me out. Why, when these women are happy, do I go, ooh, what do you want? What do you need? What's happening? It's just, and you're not having the same response.
I think Emily was fine. She was happy about something.
Really? And did you notice when she goes, come in, Lorelai goes, no.
You're scared. She goes, no. And she's like, you're scaring Rory. And she's like, don't be silly. Yeah, she was a little over the top. She looked like she was high as a kite on something. Like she had just taken methamphetamine. I don't know. She did look drunk. Like she was on something. But it's because they have good news. And they finally tell them the good news. But Rory already knows, or Lorelai already knows, because Rory already suspected, because she can do math and all of the kids talk, so she figured it out. I still think she would have been excited that Emily confirmed it.
She's in the top 3%, and I think that Rory's being modest, and this is regular in her life, and they don't always match each other's energy. Emily doesn't always match their excited energy. So I don't know. Yeah. I guess they could have participated more, but I don't expect Rory to. That's not how.
No, I know. But like Rory was so giggly excited about Lorelai getting married.
That's true.
So like we know she has it in her. She couldn't have been like, I know, isn't it exciting? Or pretended she didn't know. I don't know. It's just, I was happy to see Emily so happy. But I know it creeped you out.
I love you for that. Because I have never seen it that way. And so you telling me that, I'm like, oh, is that a way we could see it? Because I am so wanting to hide in the corner.
Yeah.
It's so scary to me. Wow, we had different upbringings. Okay.
I know. So Lorelai does a very rude thing, I think, where like everyone's on their way to the dinner table and she decides to make a phone call in that moment. I think that was very rude.
I think that's one of the rudest things she's ever done. And I feel for her because it's such an emotional moment that I think the writers for this are so wonderful and brilliant because we're now celebrating Rory. Like maybe you're not excited, but you could see that your parents are excited. You could see that Rory is being showered with love, attention, praise. And that's when you're like, oh, let me go to my source of love, attention, and praise.
Right.
Let me call the guy that wants to hear from me, tells me I'm great.
Right.
And let me interrupt this praise of love from my child. I mean, this is one of the most selfish things she's done.
It's true.
Let me not share it with everyone in the room. Let me have a secret love fest with my kid.
Yes, that was another thing. Once she gets off the phone, she goes in, gets Rory's attention, nods at her, and then they giggle. That was very selfish. She took all the attention away from Rory and back on her. So she put the ring from her, onto her finger because Rory was getting attention and she didn't like that. Yeah. And she wanted to feel like the queen, queen bee for a day.
Yeah. And to not include the people in the room while you're having a fit. And you didn't, and like you said, Rory knows how to be happy for someone and Lorelai knows to be excited and excitable. And they just, that was so sad. And,
I know.
And also finishing the circle of the proposals on the phone, the yes is on the phone, and the yes wasn't even an enthusiastic, excited yes. She calls this guy Max and says, where are we going to live?
Yep.
And he's asking like, why are you even asking this? Why don't you figure that out? And he goes, are you saying yes? And she says, why are you asking me that?
So weird. So weird. Both of them are this is the worst proposal ever. Keep in mind, he proposed to end an argument.
Yep.
Not a good start. I don't like it.
She said yes to end a different version of a discomfort, right?
Yeah.
So
it's so much easier to be happy than to think about things like where are we going to live and like,
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
How many checking accounts are we going to have? Like so stupid. But I just want to point out that Richard insults somebody by saying it looks like he has a football for a head. Which I think I thought that was so funny.
Which Emily delighted in that. She was like, he's your good friend. But she was like, yeah, he does.
He does have a football for a head.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah. I thought there was a lot of really funny stuff here. And I don't know if you noticed, but they picked up the pace on their talking. There's a lot. Did you feel it going quicker?
Yes. The banter was whiplash back. Like when I think there's a later scene where Rory and Lorelai are describing the movie with Joan Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I was like, all right, that they got the memo that people like that, I guess. I don't know. But that was a little much.
And how sweet is Dean? Like, that doesn't sound like fun to him. He's coming to Rory's house for a date with her mom again.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many teenage boys are excited to do that. And then he gets chores and stuff. Like, he's such a sweet guy. I mean, I know he yelled at her when she didn't say I love you back, but like in general.
Well, right. When we find out that Rory and Dean are back, like proper back, and he's at the door and they smooched, I wrote down, did he apologize?
Oh.
He owes her an apology. You freaked out on her. You dissed her mom. You know, like did she insist on getting an apology? Did they ever talk about it? They ever talk about what? Because they just say like, oh, we hate being broken up. We're so much better when we're back together, which is very cute and very sweet. But if they never talked about why they broke up, I feel like that's an oversight.
Yeah. And also they just got back together because she said, I love you, you idiot.
Right.
I think the pillow talk was not in any of the scenes. It was just, we're back together.
Right. But again, just like the very beginning of their relationship, like we don't really see it. No. You know, like we don't see a lot of the first moments between Rory and Dean. And I don't know if they just didn't write it or they just didn't think that was the interesting part. But like.
Well, if you think about it, this is just the next day after that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, which is insane.
Yeah. It's the next day. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So they're already like, well, presumably that night they went and had sex.
Nope. Wow.
Wow. Oh, I got to tell you a spoiler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So something came into your timeline, right? Yes.
I'm always honest with you. Oh, it was on Reddit.
I'm so upset.
And on Ask Reddit, one of the questions was, what character ruined a show for you? And one of the first answers was a character that we haven't met yet on Gilmore Girls.
Oh my God.
And I scrolled really quick to not look at it because I knew you'd be mad. I know what's coming to me.
I know who it is. Let me think of who it is. I have in mind who it is. And Gilmore friends who have seen this before have in mind who it is. Who is it?
April.
Let's keep going.
Okay. But that's the spoiler. I know there's a character coming named April.
Okay.
So now when there's a character named April, I'm going to be like, oh, that's who I read about on Reddit.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
But I didn't read the paragraph. As soon as it said Gilmore Girls, I scrolled.
Okay.
So that's all I know.
You did the right thing. I think we're going to be okay.
I know.
I don't think that's going to spoil anything for you. We're good.
I was very, very upset. Okay. I didn't call you immediately. I wanted to breathe first.
I also have no response to that because I don't want to, but my Gilmore friends know my response to that, and we will get to my response to that when it's time.
Okay.
But for now, we're just going to breathe.
But now the spoiler is if a character named April enters the show, I'm going to be like, oh, I wonder if she ruins the show for me, just like she did that random Redditor. So I'm just saying, this is why we keep me in a bubble.
Yeah, I know.
But anywho, I just wanted to put that out there for our fans and for you.
I so want to talk about it, but I can't. Thank you for being honest.
I have been spoiled.
This is why I don't even watch trailers before I watch the movie.
Yes, me too. Me too.
I can't deal with that.
I can't. It's too much. You give me the whole movie. I don't want the whole movie.
Just tell me the genre. I either like the genre of movie.
Did you see Sinners?
No. What's the genre?
Do you know anything about Sinners? Neither did I. And that's the only way to watch it because I had no idea what was going on. And it was the best movie.
Yeah, I don't want to know. And now, spoilers. I'm sorry. The trailer is literally the whole movie.
I know.
It's a summary.
Yes.
I don't understand that. I
don't like that.
There's who's the bad guy is in it. Where did they go wrong is in it. I'm like, hey, that's the twist. Why do I know the twist before getting in here?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. We're good.
So I know. I think we're okay. I'm glad I told you. I feel better having told you.
Thank you. Do you feel closer? I do.
I know. Your transactional friendship is so annoying to me. We have literally nothing in common. Except Gilmore Girls at this point. It's infuriating to me. Whenever I try to talk about something else, you're like, what would Rory do? And I'm like, oh, I had lunch. You're like, was it a bag of salad?
I'm a terrible person.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Just deal with me for 3 years.
It's fine. I will. And I am. And it's going to be great.
To choose. Okay.
And then I choose the next one. And it's going to be horrible. Okay. Dean finally meets the Grands.
Okay. Now, that's right. Because they're having a special dinner for Rory. How sweet is that? And they
so
said
sweet.
You can invite someone.
Yes.
Now, I would not invite my boyfriend because I know that my grandparents are stuck up and mean. Rory is somehow not privy to that. Okay.
Right.
Okay. But we'll get to it. I don't know. First, Lorelai tells people that she's engaged at the inn. What did you think of that? Of her telling Suki and the way she told her, or the way Suki responded? I'm assuming you hated the whole thing.
I find Suki very confusing to me. Like,
how so?
Okay, so in the kitchen this episode, Suki is the boss and she's running around and telling someone, chop that finer and don't overboil that. And she's speaking Spanish to somebody. And she's like, and I think because they got feedback that why is only one person running all the food at this inn? And so they wrote in that she's more of a boss and that she is able to do things. And she's not just a clumsy lighting things on fire, like comic relief. Like she is in control of this kitchen.
Okay.
And so they illustrated that by having her run around this kitchen and be like, do this, do that, do that. And I was like, okay, so we are trying to give Suki a little like more, why is she allowed inside of a kitchen with knives and fire? You know?
Okay, so I didn't really see that, but I love it.
I appreciate that we're trying to mature Suki a little bit. I love the Jackson-Suki relationship. I think that's adorable and cute. And I thought it was cute that Suki got emotional. Maybe she's feeling that she wants to get married too. Maybe the tears were from jealousy, or maybe they were from joy or whatever. But then Jackson walks in and like he's like allergic to talking about marriage in like I think a very stereotypical way. It's like, I don't know romantic vegetables. And he like backs up slowly, and I was like, okay, that's the stereotype of dudes.
Yeah, which a lot of them lived up to that stereotype.
Really?
Yeah. I think talk about if you're in a relationship after a certain, or even like in general, if you're in a relationship and you're just bringing up marriage, to me, it's like bringing up what kind of job do you want to, when do you want to retire? Like, how do you want to live your life? Because clearly, you know, we're doing some stuff together. Do you see us living together? Do you see us getting married? I'm not saying propose. I'm saying, are we in the same head? Do you want to continue living in the city?
I think the gut check of where is this going or where would you like it to go is important.
Yeah. Are you a person who believes in marriage?
Right. But like, so I get the sense that Jackson and Suki have never had this conversation.
Yep.
And that Jackson feels cornered by this conversation right in this moment.
Which is hilarious.
It was hilarious.
It's kind of like how in a relationship, sometimes people are like, why are you yelling at me? And I'm like, no, I'm not yelling at you. I'm telling you things you don't want to hear.
So that's like how I always accuse our producer of yelling at me.
You are
when he's
hilarious.
like, move the mic over to the left. And I'm like, stop yelling at me. And then what did he say earlier? You would never survive on the streets. I was like, oh, that's true. I'm a delicate flower.
Okay. So, so now here's another thing about the wedding. Max didn't get her a ring. He got her flowers, which I'm not a ring person. Like, I don't wear jewelry, so don't get me a ring even for the proposal. Like, it's just not a thing. But most people are, and that is where our society is. Are you a ring person? Like,
I want the ring.
You want the ring?
But I already have it. I already have an heirloom ring.
Yeah? That you like? That you decided? Or
Not only do I like it, it is from the 1920s. And I mean, actually from the 1920s. It was my grandmother's engagement ring from the late 20s.
Wow.
And it is a solitaire diamond, which was not even common back then in the 20s because you could get any gem at all. It was before De Beers bought the whole thing.
The whole idea
of proposals. And it's just gorgeous.
So this is the ring that Lorelai is getting.
Yeah, Lorelai basically got my grandmother's ring.
Wait, so weird. How, if you have the ring, how would someone propose to you?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, they'd have to come up with the rest of the romance.
They'd have to steal it. They'd have to drug me and steal the ring.
Do they know where it is?
I don't think so. They'd have to ravage my apartment. It is in the apartment, which is not a good idea. I should get a safety deposit box. But no, humble brag. There's a diamond ring in my apartment right now.
I think a lot of people in America can say that. I guess it's usually on them, but.
Right.
Okay.
But no, somebody would have to come in, drug me, rummage through the entire apartment, find it, hope I don't notice it's gone, which I might not, get me to a football game, get the Jumbotron on.
Well, what did you think of? I think the way Rory was talking on the phone with Max when he was describing the ring, he obviously knew that Lorelai was there the whole time. And
yes,
I want to describe the rings to everybody because I want to know like what people would pick. So the first one was gold band, square diamond, and simple and classic, which is pretty good. The second one is engagement band. What does that mean? Just a circle? What is I don't know. Small diamonds all around, white gold, wedding band that fits into it.
Yeah.
And the last one was from the 20s, which is just, that alone sounds beautiful for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Large diamond in the middle, diamond clusters on the side, and a little deco.
A little deco.
What's deco?
It's like that art style. Like the Empire State Building is deco.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know it when you see it. Like It's like kind of a geometric.
Okay.
Boxy.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
I think I would pick the third one. It sounds
I think of those three, I would pick the third one. I would be curious to see the second one. I like the idea of interlocking wedding ring and engagement ring. Like that sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a, Lego pieces or, and it sounds like it would be like a quality fidget toy to take off your wedding ring and engagement ring and like have them interlock. Because as we know, I love my fidget toys.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't people used to get engaged with a wedding ring and then switch it for a wedding ring? Or were people always wearing their engagement rings forever? I thought that was like a new thing.
I thought you take off the engagement ring and put on the wedding ring.
For life. And then you just have the ingredient. Yeah. I think what happens is the diamond companies, and I'm not even kidding, the diamond companies made it so that you decided that it's 3 months worth of your...
That was De Beers. It was entirely one campaign. Yeah. And it was the one De Beers campaign. Look it up. It's crazy that everything we think we know about diamonds came from an ad campaign.
I remember that campaign, and they suggested that it's 3 months of your income.
Mm-hmm.
Is how much the ring is. And at that point, men just went with it. And now it's getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
And so I think after it started costing that much, people used to wear the engagement and the wedding ring together for life, which I thought is nice. Like it's so pretty, engagement rings.
But you can't ever put your hand in a pocket ever again. Like your left hand just doesn't go into pockets anymore.
I mean, that's why I don't like jewelry. It's just in my way. Like I was never able to wear earrings because my hair would get caught on them, and I would forget necklaces, and I just can't bother with it. But I think they're so pretty.
Yeah. I love looking at other people's rings.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
Pretty.
Yeah.
There's something weird about the showing of the ring as an indication of proposal. Like she said yes, or he proposed. And I don't want to be the one to poo-poo that, because there's something also beautiful about it, because there's a lot of thought behind it. There's an indication that you put time and effort into this situation, but it is slowly becoming what weddings are becoming, which is just too over the top, putting you in debt, starting your life from a negative. But here I am poo-pooing stuff that really brings people happiness. So I don't want to do that.
I just want to wear proof that I'm lovable.
Somebody say it like that. What was
somebody could look at me and they'd be like, is this woman lovable? I can't tell. And then they follow down my shoulder to my elbow to my ring finger, and they see an engagement ring. And then they would go, aha, that's a lovable woman. See?
Now I get it. Okay, I get it. All right. Yeah.
When I explain it like that, you see, you want it now, right?
Yes. I'm so stupid. Okay, so here's the big dramatic scene. I don't know if you noticed. I was tearing up a little bit on this.
I didn't notice.
Because I don't always tear up on this scene, but I think it's just emotional for me specifically. Okay. So for some reason, Rory thinks inviting Dean without a heads up, which I think is very interesting.
I think it's rude. She knows her grandparents enough to know that they would want a heads up that she's bringing someone. I'm
surprised they don't give written invitations to Lorelai and Rory every week for their dinner parties. You know?
They should. It's rude of him not to.
They're very formal. So I would think at least that Lorelai would know, hey, heads up, Mom, Rory's bringing her boyfriend. He's this, he's that, he's 16, he's, whatever he is. I don't know. As soon as Emily sees Dean, her face drops. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a lot of what happened in here that reminds me of Trix. Mm-hmm. And how she didn't think that Emily was good enough for Richard. Richard did not think that Dean is good enough, and he sized that up right away.
Yeah.
And you said, well, Dean shouldn't have worn that.
Well, I wrote down that Dean's neckline was inappropriate for dinner with grandparents.
And I understand what you mean, but I know from his perspective, he's in his church best, right?
No, yeah, he wore a nice shirt. He wore a button-down, long-sleeve shirt.
Collared.
Collared, but the button was too low. There was too much neck showing, too much skin showing his clavicle. It wasn't very conservative. And he's wearing a beachy necklace. So,
which only in a Gilmore Girls type house would that be low class.
I know. No, I don't think it's low class. Mm-hmm. I think if I'm meeting someone's grandparents for the first time, I wear my Sunday best.
That is the Sunday best.
I know, but I don't think, I think I wouldn't have worn a suit and tie,
but
kind of thing.
But
I think he might have worn a blazer if he had one.
I think that that was Lorelai's mistake.
Right.
Because
she knows her parents.
Yeah. And she knows what this society requests of men. I think Rory knows how to dress with her wardrobe to their house, because she's always, in some sort of nice.
Yeah, Rory's never sloppy, ever. Yeah. What are Rory's chill clothes? I guess she get in sweatpants once.
No, I don't know, but yeah, cargo pants. She wears the whole thing.
Right, but she's generally pretty put together.
Yeah. But they
cute.
get dressed up to go to grandma's house.
Yes, it's true. So they know that this is a place you get dressed up. And I feel like somebody should have said to Dean, I don't think he was wildly inappropriate. It's just not the shirt I would have worn.
Yeah, and also you have to believe that no matter what he wore, Richard would have had the same heart attack.
That's right, because he doesn't go to Chilton.
And if we're talking about what people are wearing, did Lorelai forget to wear a dress on top of her nightie?
I was like, why is she wearing a slip?
My mother would kill me.
I thought she was basically naked. I was like, why are we all staring at Lorelai's naked body right now?
I was like, am I a prude or is this exactly what lingerie is?
Yes, it was lingerie. The straps were barely there, spaghetti straps, the skinniest thing, super low cut, and like silky fabric. It was
and like that, you know how lingerie a lot of times has like frilly top and then a matching frilly line at the bottom? It had that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to point out that at this time, we were wearing lingerie on the outside for a little bit, but it was more like a shirt. It wasn't
right. Well, this was a plot point
Grandma's house.
This also, by the way, happened on Friends.
Yes.
When Rachel Green was caught wearing lingerie and just pretended it was a dress and went out with a boyfriend's parents. And I think this just was a look. Like there was like a couple years in there where you could just like wear lingerie out in public.
I had a fake lingerie top.
I didn't.
Yeah. I did. I wore like an open sweater with it because you're like pretending that it's a shirt. But there was that. This was like a little more than what the fashion was calling for. But it also was your mom's house, a conservative place. And we're talking about what Dean was wearing. So
yes. So I think she was also dressed inappropriately, but they don't expect that from Lorelai anymore.
Right. She's gone.
Like, they already wrote her off. Right. Yeah. Exactly. So like Dean is trying to make the very, very best impression. And you think Rory would give him a heads up. Oh, by the way, they're pretty stuffy. Like I would wear like basically what you wear to like Christmas at church, you know?
Yeah. And he was so sweet, Dean. Lorelai messed with him and told Emily he wants a beer, and even Emily was being pretty cool about that.
Right. So they're being jokey and they're being, they're giving it levity. And then,
oh boy,
Richard walks in and I was like, oh, what's the backstory? Because I thought it was going to be like, you once hit my car. Like I thought there was going to be an actual backstory besides, I don't think you're good enough for Rory. Which nobody.
And this is where we differ because I was like, that's right. That's exactly right. Richard is devastated. And that's how my father would have responded. That's why I would never have brought over a boy. It just wasn't going to work out right. The one time that a boy even got near my house, my father kicked his car into a dent. And,
whoa.
I was expected to just deal with it. Like, this is not. Wow. And my father was not a physical person at all. So it shocked me that he went.
He dented your boyfriend's car?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he was not even my boyfriend. He was a gentleman caller, but like we were, but my father doesn't know that. I said, my friend is coming over. My father's problem with it was that my father didn't want me to move out, and neither did my mom. But I was
good Lord
about to turn 21, which was pretty old for me to be moving. He was helping me take my stuff to the new place. My father was so livid that he kicked the guy's car and it was dented. And I had to like, so this was like, I was going like, this is the most polite dismissal that you can have. And I don't know why Lorelai wasn't expecting this. Who's going to be good enough? The guy that says, yeah. The guy that doesn't know how to be Tristan.
Right.
You haven't met your father. I did. I met your father.
Yeah.
Wow. There's not, I think people don't understand that your parents are serious and adamant about how they are and what they expect. This is not any different than what they've been showing you and how they've been responding. He's been responding to Lorelai like that forever.
Right.
So the fact that everyone's in the dark.
Right.
Sorry, buddies. Like,
yeah,
wake up.
I didn't clock it. I was like, what's the secret beef? And then he lays into him at the dinner table and he's like, where are you going to college? What are your grades? What do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And
which, by the way, how expected should that be as the boyfriend, as the mother, as
Dean. So what happened to Dean's like charm and like confidence and his like ability? Now it's my turn to speak, Lorelai. You know, like what happened to this sassy Dean that we met, you know, a quarter of the way through season 1?
Yeah.
He's like fumbling and he's like, well, I don't know. And like he could have done, you know, what Dean a few episodes ago would have done, which is like, I don't know, sir, but I know that your granddaughter is my number one priority. And if I have to spend my entire life making her happy, then that's going to be my career.
That's true.
Something sexy like that. Like, what happened to that Dean? Where's that guy?
That's true. But if you notice, like the vibe changed so hard that everyone fell off their game. Yeah. Everyone was like, what's happening?
What the hell? Even Emily, but see, I was glad it wasn't Emily doing it because I feel like you would have expected Emily to do it, and she didn't. She was a more gracious host.
She started doing that, and Lorelai fixed it. And then at the end, Lorelai said, Did we just switch?
Yeah.
She said, wasn't that supposed to be you and me?
Wasn't that supposed to be you and me? Which was very funny. But I was surprised that it was Richard and not Emily. And I was relieved that it was Richard and not Emily because I hate adding fuel to your fire that Emily is the worst. Because I don't think she's the worst. I think she's a good hostess.
I think she was really good here. I think when Lorelai was like, hey, aren't we supposed to be nice to Rory today? She was like, you know what? Yes, we are. And
right. But like, why didn't she pull Richard aside? I mean, she tried to at the dinner table. She tried to rein it in, but like, I thought it was really uncharacteristic of Richard because he only wants Rory to be happy. And he knew that being a dick to her boyfriend wouldn't make her happy.
I think when your father is unhappy and he's not used to being unhappy, when you surprise him with so much of this and you see his plans for you derailing so hard, I think Lorelai was right when he was like, he suddenly saw me in you.
Yes.
And that scared the hell out of him.
Yes.
And he lost his mind. And when Lorelai described it in that way, I did feel, and in the same way that I felt for my dad, he's always scared for me. And he thinks that I will never get married if I make this choice. And if I'm not married, I'm lost in the dark. Like,
right.
As far as he's come from what his family told him and as sweet and nice as he has become compared to the generation before him, and I give him a lot of credit for that, he couldn't come further than that. And Richard, when he saw a pretty boy, just like Lorelai had at the same age.
But Lorelai clocked it. Lorelai understood that. She understood it immediately. When we have Twinkies at home.
Oh my God, what are those?
Later.
How many Twinkies did she
By
open?
the way, the Twinkies shift between shots.
Oh.
I was staring at the Twinkies the whole time, and they're in a different arrangement based on which shot they're doing. So just watch out for that. But Lorelai is able to verbalize that to Rory, and Rory seems to get it. That like, why is he being mean? And she absolutely has her finger on the pulse on why he's being mean.
Yeah, and I fully understood that from my father as well. They're really looking out for us. There's something very, I want to say kind about it because they think that they are, they're losing their mind about how they're losing their daughter, and they don't know how to function or work through that, and they flip out and they do the wrong thing. That being said, when Rory said, I've never seen him like that, and she doesn't know him to be mean, I'm like, you see him be mean to your mother every week when you go there. They call her stupid. They belittle her life. And it's not just Emily. It's Richard too. She has watched her mother be belittled by this family.
Yes.
And so it bothers me that she's that surprised, but I think the only grace that I can give her is that she watches Lorelai almost kind of needle them into it. Like Lorelai keeps being herself, which is something
Lorelai pushes buttons in a way that Rory does not.
Yeah, so maybe she thinks that's their dynamic. She pushes buttons,
right.
Buttons. So okay,
but yeah, and she hasn't seen, and her grandparents have only ever been wonderful to her.
Yeah, but you're right there in the room when they're not.
I know, it's weird.
I guess it's I don't know. It's
yeah.
Okay.
Can we talk about Lane's suitcase?
Yeah. This is one of those times where Carrie and I are watching, and she's appropriately looking down to write her notes, and I say look up visual because I need her to see this scene.
And it was visual, and I'm writing. What was I writing? I was writing about the Twinkies.
Okay.
That they changed on the plate between the shots, and I'm writing this down, and I hear visual, and I was like, huh? And all of a sudden, there's a suitcase, a comically large suitcase. It goes up to her shoulder. Mm-hmm. And
it
she's
really
like,
can fit her and everything she has.
Yes. She's like, it can fit you and me and everything we own. And that was the end of the B plot.
Don't you feel for Lane?
I do. Scary? I feel very bad for Lane. But I don't have enough information. This was maybe 45 seconds given to this B plot. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where it's going. I thought it was hilariously large suitcase that no human could lift. Mm-hmm. I mean, even a trunk, you could lift it. This is not liftable. It was just funny.
I don't even know how they found this thing. It was bananas.
So then we cut to...
Well, the grandparents are still having their response to it,
right,
even
that's
though
right,
they
that's
left.
Right. The grandparents are now arguing amongst themselves.
Which is fair. That is what would happen.
Yeah.
And then Emily gets a phone call. She's interrupting this rant that her husband is going on because it's like, all right, I know you're going to keep going about this. There's nothing I can do. Picks up the phone. Suki reveals that Lorelai is engaged. Did your heart not break for Emily?
My heart just broke for Emily, and my rage heart flared for Suki. Check with Lorelai to see if your parents know. Hey, Lorelai, do your parents know yet? No, and don't tell them. Why would Suki randomly call the parents? Has she ever done that before? Would that be on Lorelai's radar to warn Suki not to tell them?
I fully get that. I just think if you're so she's planning a surprise wedding shower. The whole town has yellow daisies. It doesn't seem to be a secret. So
right.
It's, a lot of people don't think that you would keep that secret from your parents. It's just kind of unheard of. So
I know, but they're good enough friends, she knows enough about Lorelai to know that the parents are sticky. They're a little bit, hot and cold with each other. So it does not sound great. Usually if someone tells me they're pregnant, they say, I'm telling you first, don't tell anyone. I'm going to announce it in 3 days. So don't say anything. If that's your best friend, it's your best friend.
It's been a week. The timing.
Right.
Because she didn't tell them when she decided at the dinner the week before. It's a week later. I bet Suki thought, she must be telling her now. And
I know, but she still should have checked with Lorelai. Check. Did you tell your parents? I don't know. But yes, my heart broke for Emily. It was very painful.
Emily put her foot down saying, you will, to Richard. And here's the thing about conservative parents. And my mother got this also. You talk about your parents, they had equal say, and they had to negotiate. My mother basically did what my father said was the next move. They wanted to move away from the country. She did. They wanted to move back. She did. They wanted, this kind of setup. She did that. Every once in a while, she would put her foot down. And one of the ones in my life was, we're not moving to Long Island. And I was like, I have been thanking her for that for a long time. We just moved to a different part of Queens, which later I was really grateful for. I didn't know that they were even considering this. This was Emily's put my foot down. Normally, she just kind of does her job. Here she goes, you will be calling Rory tomorrow. You will be apologizing. And he's like, who, what? She goes, basically something like, your daughter is engaged. when Rory gets engaged, I want to know about it.
Yeah.
You're apologizing. And she left the room. And then she pauses. I don't know if you saw this. I didn't want to tell you this was a visual because it was a feeling visual.
Yes.
But did you see her
all
pause?
the face acting where she pauses and like has to like steady herself because this is so painful because it's another way that Lorelai is icing her out. She's never going to be a part of Lorelai's life the way she wants to be. Going through Rory didn't work or isn't working, I guess. Right. And I wrote that Emily is pained. And she just looks like she's in pain. And then that's it, and she doesn't want the same thing to happen with Rory. And it's true. If you can push away your children if you just harangue them about their life choices.
Right. But yeah.
So she's going to make a different choice. And that shows growth, right? The fact that she's pained shows growth.
I hate to say this to you, but no, it shows exactly who everybody is all the time and still.
Oh.
It's not that she's not pained by her relationship with Lorelai. It's that she doesn't change and expects Lorelai to change and vice versa. So they are both pained by each other's relationship, but neither one of them is going to change to make that happen. And there's a phrase that says, bless them, change me. You can't keep expecting other people to respond to you differently when you are the same person to them. And as heartbreaking as that is, it's the truth. So,
yeah.
I know. And I feel for her, just because, listen, Emily reminds me of my mother also. Very conservative, very protective of me in ways that is not what I need. Not all the time, but she was protective of me in ways that I did need. I do appreciate some versions of her overbearingness. I know that I got a lot of stuff that other people didn't get. I really appreciate that. I live in gratitude about it. That doesn't mean that we can have very specific relationships, because if you want to know me, you're not going to know me unless you accept that your questions will get the answers that you're not comfortable with.
Right.
It's just not how it happens. And that's how people stay separated, which maybe is okay. Maybe you guys need to have just a surface level relationship, but you can't go nitpicking. The last conversation that they have, one of the last conversations is, this is just a man.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I don't know, but let's see what happens.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And on the porch, Lorelai gets her ring. She looks at it and goes, I'm getting married.
I'm getting married.
And there was nothing fun about that to me at all.
Nope. And then the credits. I was like, what? What happened?
He hands her the ring like they're negotiating a business.
Yeah,
deal.
he hands her the ring when they're just already sitting there. So weird. Whatever. They're not getting married. I won't do predictions yet.
It's time for it. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's trivia.
Give me some trivia. You tell me things.
Okay, let's do it. Grandpa's mean.
Grandpa's mean. Blah, blah, blah.
All right, we already know the episode is called Sadie, Season 2, Episode 1. Okay, here's my question. Max proposes to Lorelai with what we're told is 1,000 yellow daisies, but we've noticed that there were way more. How many daisies did the show actually use?
Oh, you have the number?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I have an answer from...
an estimate from the internet?
Well...
I say 10,000. I say 15,000.
Okay. Let me get this on real quick. Here we go. So Amy Sherman-Palladino, the writer, creator of this show, she says... And this is a quote, 1,000 yellow daisies actually sounds like a lot, but when you put 1,000 yellow daisies in a big room, like our set, it's kind of like a table arrangement. 3 or 4 times we had to send people back to get yellow daisies. I think we wiped out yellow daisies on the West Coast. And then the final count has not been listed anywhere, but according to Amy Sherman-Palladino, there was, quote, thousands and thousands and thousands. She never really gave like the whole internet is looking for exactly how many. She just knows they had to keep sending them back.
They were real
flowers.
They were real flowers?
Yeah.
Well, so that's insane.
The Gilmore Friends believe it's over 10,000 yellow daisies, and it has to be because when we go back, especially when the first scene, there might have been a certain amount, but the next scenes, this scene with this episode
when they're walking through
all over. Yeah. I mean, not only were people wearing yellow daisies, holding yellow daisies, but there were buckets of yellow daisies in places.
Yep.
Like
it was everywhere.
It was so much. So I'm very upset to not get the full count, but it does not exist. Please fight me on it. I would love to know.
I mean, somebody has freeze framed. Can AI like count the number of a thing in a?
I think fun fact, AI is bad with numbers. In fact, when we just did a live, and PS, if you're looking for more Gilmore Friends, we are putting up more content on YouTube. We're doing live episodes that are running. Like yesterday's ran 2.5 hours.
We did 2.5 because we were summarizing all of season 1.
Yes.
So that was a very, very long live. But if you would like to see us live, make sure you are subscribed on YouTube so that you will get the latest and greatest updates on when our next live is. You can come hang out with us. Ask us questions in real time.
Oh, yeah. And we got responses from people in real time. That was really fun.
It was fun. I made a fool of myself by not knowing enough about Star Trek.
When we argued, people took sides. That was fun.
Not fun for me when they weren't on my side. Whatever.
So, so the way that you'll know when is YouTube will alert you because we set up you know how that goes. So subscribe there. So I don't know. So when I ran the AI, I was trying to, one of the things that we did on the live was I wanted to name every episode that Kirk was in. And I asked ChatGPT, I asked Google, and they got it wrong right off the bat because there's some episodes that I didn't know. I'm like, and I wrote to him, you already have the first episode wrong. And then I ignored its answers. You shut up, you stupid robot. So, so I broke it down. I searched through all the episodes and, I said I would post that I have on my list, but you can find all our lives on YouTube. Here's my next question. The Stars Hollow newsstand guy, Bootsy, he's played by Brian Tarantina.
Okay.
Brian also worked on another Amy Sherman-Palladino hit show as the manager of a comedy club called Gaslight. What show was that?
Oh, that was Mrs. Maisel?
Yes, Mrs. Maisel.
Mrs. Maisel, yes.
Which, by the way, such a good series.
Such a good series. I think I did 2 seasons of it, and I don't know if I forget where I left off. I don't think I saw the whole thing.
It's brilliant.
But I got to go back and do that. And that's where he looked familiar. I was like, how do we know that guy? How do we know that guy? And that was from that. Okay.
So that is the answer. But in season 4, his character died of a sudden stroke. Unfortunately, that's because Brian Tarantina passed away in 2019 before season 4 started filming. So they had a funeral in the show for the character.
Wow.
Yeah, in real life, it was reported that he died of an accidental overdose. So that was like really, really sad.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Got to rewrite the whole show. Yikes. Yeah.
Okay, so my final question is, Richard Gilmore is being a real jerk in this episode. Edward Herrmann was clearly good at playing that kind of role, so much that in one year, the year is 1987, he played he played villain characters in 2 very famous movies. Which ones?
87?
87.
Villain? Oh my God. I don't know.
Okay. In the 1987 cult classic horror comedy, The Lost Boys, Edward Herrmann plays the role of Max. Funny. Initially appearing as a mild-mannered, charming, and somewhat nerdy video store owner, Max is later revealed to be the sinister head vampire and the main antagonist of the film.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Me too.
I gotta go watch it. We should watch it.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. You're not going to believe the second one. I know you've seen this. I'm pretty sure you've seen this. In 1987, romantic comedy. I can't believe they call this a romantic comedy. Oh my God. Romantic comedy Overboard.
Oh.
He's the husband. He played Grant Staten III. He's introduced as an arrogant, wealthy socialite and the husband of Joanna. After Joanna suffers amnesia, Grant exploits her condition by abandoning her at the hospital and returning to his privileged life using her money.
Okay.
So guys, do you know, wait, I wasn't supposed to say guys, right? Folks, dolls,
babes,
honeypots. Do you know what this movie Overboard is about?
I think, yes, she has amnesia and they just mess with her. They pretend they give her like amnesia. A fake husband.
Okay. So there's a guy working on her closet. That guy is what's his face, the main character. And she's on her yacht with her husband. She falls overboard, gets found by a local community who's getting sick of her because she's so arrogant, but she doesn't even remember who she is. So the carpenter, because she threw him overboard, she threw him overboard. She threw his tools overboard. He needed the money. So she screwed him out of money because she didn't like the work that she did. He saw her on the news, saw that her husband went to pick her up, found out that she didn't remember anything, was like, oh yeah, that's not her, left her there. And the carpenter guy picked her up, pretended that she's his wife.
Yeah.
Made her work, clean his house, but made her believe that these 4 kids are hers.
Yeah.
Slept with her.
Yeah.
She ended up falling in love with him while her husband is cheating on her left, right, and center.
Yeah. It's a very problematic movie that we all thought was hilarious. I only saw it once recently within the last 10 years because a friend of mine said this was like the funniest movie ever. And I was like horrified. I was like, they're just like sexually assaulting her. Like,
it was bananas.
Yeah. Not a great movie.
And do you know that they did a remake recently? And I didn't even bother finding out how they could, because it was like 5 or 6 years ago or something. And I'm like, how are they going to get around what this movie is about? I didn't see the trailer. I didn't see the movie. I don't know who plays in it, but I don't know. Oh, I think they reversed the roles. Like the guy lost amnesia. And I'm like, is that how you're making it okay? This is crazy.
Right. Because what guy wouldn't sleep with anyone who just claimed he was his wife? It's, you know, men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
Oh, it's predictions time, which is very exciting. By the way, last night we read all of your predictions back to back. I almost lost my mind. Okay, we did
laugh pretty hard.
You have to subscribe on YouTube. Oh my God. Okay, keep going.
I'm a little mortified that I laughed that hard, and it was recording because I haven't laughed that genuinely in a long time. At my own words, that's how bad it was. I was like, I said that. I'm hilarious, and we were giggling. No way do Max and Lorelai get married. They can't. There's no way that's happening. They can't. And if that's the arc of this season, then that's the arc of this season, but they better not be getting married. It's just not going to happen.
If you don't get married, what happens?
Max becomes Max befriends a family of gnomes and moves into a tree.
Okay.
Never to be seen again.
I could see how you could think that. Yeah.
Okay. But no, one way or another, this couple is not getting married.
Okay.
And I'm still very confused about Rory and Dean. Oh, we have to get back to Chilton too. We got to see how Paris and Tristan are doing and what that crew is doing. But it's summer now.
Yeah.
Their timeline is all screw pants on this show, honestly. The next episode could be, Halloween and then Christmas. But yeah, that's my prediction.
Okay. Do you think Dean and Rory will stay together?
For a minute, yeah.
Okay.
Why do you ask? Do they not?
Because
Why
you
would
said
you
Max
ask that?
and Lorelai is so maybe Dean dies in a fire. I don't know.
I think the only real wedding we're going to see is Jackson and Suki. I still think that I think they're safe minor characters they can get married and it won't, affect our main characters as much.
What about Luke and his love life?
Luke and stupid Lorelai still have to get together. I thought that was going to happen in season 1, but boy, am I an idiot. Or do they go the whole series? Will they, won't they?
No
they
kiss.
have to get together. I want them to get drunk and make out. And I know that's wrong on many levels, what I just said. But that is how people determine who they love. Historically.
You heard here 500th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Awesome. That was our thoughts on season 1. Season 2. We're on season 2.
Season 2. And I can't wait to watch season 2, episode 2 with you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you for being our Gilmore friends. Good night.
Bye.